It is a Saturday morning in late June. The sun is already warm by 9 o'clock. You drive to the grocery store, walk straight to the produce section, and stand in front of a bin piled high with 30 watermelons. You pick one up. You tap on it the way your father used to tap on it. You have no idea what you are listening for, so you do what everyone does. You grab the biggest one, pay $9, and carry it home hoping for the best. Sunday afternoon you cut it open in front of your family, pale pink flesh, thick white rind, white seeds. Your child takes one bite and puts the slice back down without finishing it. Watery, mealy, almost no taste at all. $9 in the compost. Again. Here is what nobody tells you standing in that aisle. That was not bad luck. It was never bad luck. There is no luck in picking a watermelon. There never was. The melon told you everything you needed to know before you ever paid. You just did not know the language. 200 years ago, every farm woman in this country knew that language. They had 7 tests they ran in 90 seconds before they ever put a hand in their pocket for a coin. That knowledge did not come from a book. It came from mothers handing melons to daughters at the farm stand and saying, "Feel this one, now feel that one. Now tell me which one you would take home." My name is Ezra Bowman. I was born and raised in Holmes County, Ohio, the largest Amish settlement in the world. My grandmother Ruth picked watermelons the same way her grandmother picked them. 7 tests, passed down through the women of our community for as long as anyone can remember. My wife Rachel learned them from her mother before she was 12. Our daughters know them now, and in the next 18 minutes I am going to teach every single one of them to you. The field spot, the stem and the tendril, the give, the thump, the weight, the shape, and the webbing. 7 tests, 90 seconds. You will never bring a bad melon home again. Test number 1, the field spot. This is the single most important test on this entire list. If you remember nothing else from today, remember this one. Turn the watermelon over and look at its underside. Every melon on earth has a spot there, the place where it rested against the ground for its entire life on the vine. The sun never touched that spot. The air never moved across it. Just warm soil pressing against that one patch of rind from the time the melon was the size of a golf ball to the day it was cut. The color of that spot tells you almost everything. Deep, creamy, buttery yellow, the color of fresh butter on a white plate. That means the melon stayed on the vine until the earth finished its work. As the sugars developed inside over those long weeks, that resting spot slowly changed color. Green first, then pale white, then ivory, then that golden butter yellow. That color is the earth's signature on a finished melon. That is the one you want. White spot, pale spot, barely any yellow at all. That melon was pulled too early. The earth did not have time to finish signing. The sugars inside never completed. It will be pale and watery and close to tasteless. Put it back. Still faintly green, or almost no spot at all. That melon came off the vine so early it never even properly settled onto the ground. Weeks away from ripe. Put it back without a second thought. My grandmother Ruth used to say, "The earth signs its name on every good melon it finishes." When Rachel and I pull up to a farm stand and the whole pile has pale white spots, we get back in the wagon and drive to the next one. No other test matters more. This is the one. Start here. Always start here. Test number 2. The stem and the tendril. Look at the top of the melon, the small stem where it was cut from the vine, and beside it, if you are at a farm stand or a farmer's market, there may still be a tiny, curly tendril, a small, dried piece of vine that grew right next to the melon its whole life. These 2 things tell a quiet story about the day that melon left the plant. Brown stem, dry and shriveled, tendril curled tight like a little pig's tail that dried in the summer sun. That means the vine sent the signal first. As a watermelon finishes ripening, the plant withdraws its energy. The sap pulls back from the stem. The tendril withers. The vine is saying, "I am done with this one. It is ready. Pick it now." When the farmer harvests at that moment, he is working with the plant, not against it. That is the melon you want. Green stem. Soft tendril still curling with life. The farmer cut that melon before the vine was finished feeding it. Maybe the truck was coming. Maybe the contract had a deadline. The plant had not let go yet, and somebody with a knife made that decision for it. Green stem, green tendril, walk away. One honest note. Most grocery stores trim the stems short and remove the tendrils entirely during processing. This test is harder at a supermarket, but at any true farm stand where the melons came off the vine that week, this test is gold. Brown and dry means the vine let go willingly. Green means someone let go too soon. Test number 3. The give. Hold the melon steady and press your thumb firmly into the rind, not hard enough to damage it. Just a firm, steady press. You are not trying to push through the skin. You are listening with your hand. A ripe melon gives slightly, a barely perceptible softness beneath the surface. The interior is full of water and dissolved sugar, and all of that pressure gives the rind a small, honest spring. The way a ripe peach yields slightly under your finger without breaking. Firm, but alive. An unripe melon feels like pressing your thumb into green hardwood. Stone hard. No give at all. The flesh inside is dense and tight and weeks from being what it should be. Here is what most people do not know. An overripe melon gives too much, soft, almost mushy. The flesh inside has begun to break down. That one is just as bad as the hard one. You are looking for the middle, the small, honest spring, like the resistance at the neck of a ripe pear. Once your hand has felt the difference between stone hard and that small living give, it will remember that feeling for the rest of your life. This test lives in your fingers after you have felt it once. Test number 4. The thump. This is the test your father did. The test everyone has heard of. And most people either do it wrong or they do it right without knowing what they are listening for, which amounts to exactly the same problem. Here is the correct method. Cup your non-dominant hand against one side of the melon to give it support and resonance. With your dominant hand, give the rind a sharp, firm knock with your knuckle. Not a gentle tap. A real knock. The way you knock on a door when you need someone to actually hear you. Some people prefer a quick flick with the back of a fingernail. Either works. You are sending a vibration through the flesh and listening to what comes back. 3 sounds, 1 answer. A deep, hollow, resonant boom, low and ringing, like knocking on the side of a barrel half full of water. That sound means the flesh inside is full of water, the sugars are dissolved and loose, and the whole interior has the open, ripe structure that makes a watermelon sweet. That is the sound you want. Deep, hollow, ringing, like a small drum answering you back. A dull, flat, dead thud, like knocking on a thick book or a block of wood. No ring, no resonance, just a dead impact. The flesh inside is still dense and tight and unripe. Walk away from the flat thud. A soft, padded, muffled sound, like tapping on a pillow. The flesh has begun breaking down inside, overripe. Also walk away. Listen for the hollow boom. Rachel says the right sound is the melon talking back to you. A ripe melon has something to say. A bad one just goes quiet. Test number 5, the weight. Pick the melon up, really hold it. Then set it down, pick up a second melon of the same approximate size, and hold that one. Compare them directly. Do not try to judge weight alone, judge it by comparison. A ripe watermelon is 92% water by weight. All that water, all those dissolved sugars filling every cell of the flesh, makes a ripe melon feel heavier than its size suggests. You pick it up, and it surprises you. Dense, substantial. Like it has more packed inside it than you expected from looking at it. Think of it this way. A ripe melon is like a full water balloon. An unripe one is like a balloon that was never properly filled. Same size on the outside, completely different in your hands. A light melon that feels almost airy for how big it looks has either never finished filling out, because it was pulled too early, or it has been sitting long enough that water has slowly escaped through the rind. Either way, pale flesh and pale flavor are waiting inside. Pick up 2 of the same size. The heavier one is almost always the better one. Rachel's mother could pick the best melon in a pile of 20 by weight alone after years of practice. You do not need years. You need 2 melons of the same size and 2 arms to hold them. That is enough. Test number 6. The shape. Step back and look at the whole melon. Not for color, not for the field spot. Just the shape itself. A good watermelon is symmetrical. A round one curves evenly in every direction. A long oval one tapers smoothly from end to end. No lumps, no flat sides, no strange knobs, no lopsided lean pulling it one way. Here is the reason, and this is one of those things that almost never makes it from the farm field into the produce aisle. The shape of a watermelon is the record of what the bees did. When a watermelon flower is well pollinated, bees visiting many times over the right window of days, the seeds inside develop evenly all around the interior. Even seeds mean even flesh. Even flesh means that sugars distribute evenly throughout the whole melon. And the melon grows out into that smooth, symmetrical, proportional shape. When the flower is poorly pollinated, maybe bad weather during the flowering window, maybe too few bees in the field, the seeds cluster unevenly. One side develops faster than the other. The melon grows lopsided, lumpy, with a flat side or a knobby end, and the flavor follows the shape exactly. The fuller side might have some sweetness. The flatter side will be bland and mealy. The bees decide which melons are sweet. The shape is just the record of their work. A smooth, symmetrical melon means the bees were thorough. A lumpy, lopsided melon means they barely visited. Take the symmetrical one. Leave the lopsided one for someone who has not watched this video. Test number 7. The webbing. This is the final test. The tiebreaker. The one almost no modern shopper has ever heard of, and the one the careful old farmers always used last. Look closely at the surface of the rind. Across the green skin, threaded between the stripes, you may see fine brown lines. Faint, delicate, almost like a spider's web drawn lightly in brown ink across the surface. Some people call them sugar lines, some call them pollination scars. In our community, we have always called them the sweet marks. Here is exactly what they are. Every time a bee landed on that watermelon flower to pollinate it, the touch left a microscopic mark on the developing rind. As the melon grew, those marks healed into faint brown lines on the surface. More bee visits, more marks, more brown lines, more complete pollination, more evenly developed sugar inside. A heavily webbed melon, those faint brown lines spread across the rind like a detailed map, is almost guaranteed to be deeply sweet inside. The bees were thorough, the work was done right. A perfectly clean rind with no lines at all looks beautiful on the outside. That is exactly the problem. No lines means the bees barely visited. The pollination was incomplete. The sugars are incomplete. It will look like the best melon in the bin and taste like the most disappointing one you have brought home all summer. When Rachel and I stand at a farm stand with 2 strong candidates, both with good buttery field spots, both with good weight and a solid thump, the webbing is the final answer. More brown sweet marks on the rind means the sweeter melon, every single time, 30 years. This test has not failed us once. Now let me bring all 7 together. Because a list of tests is only useful if you can run them smoothly, one after another, without having to stop and think. Walk up to any bin, you have 90 seconds. Turn it over. Find the field spot. Deep, buttery, golden yellow. Anything paler than fresh butter goes back in the bin immediately. Look at the stem and tendril if they are still there. Brown and dry means the vine finished. Green means someone cut it short. Press your thumb into the rind. A small, honest spring. Not stone. Not mush. That small living give. Knock firmly with your knuckle and listen. The deep, hollow boom is the only sound that earns a place in your cart. Flat thud, walk away. Soft pad, walk away. Pick it up and compare it to another of the same size. The heavier one is the better one. Ripe means dense. Dense means heavy. Step back and look at the shape. Smooth, symmetrical. Round where it should be round. Tapered where it should taper. Trust the shape the bees made. And finally look at the rind for the sweet marks, the fine brown webbing. The more of it you see, the more thoroughly the bees worked, the more completely the sugars developed, the sweeter that melon will be when you cut it open on Saturday afternoon. 7 tests, 90 seconds, every time. Now I want to tell you something about why you did not already know this. This knowledge did not disappear because it stopped being true. The field spot is just as reliable today as it was 200 years ago. The bees still leave the same marks. The weight test works exactly the same way. Nothing about the melon changed. What changed is who profits from your not knowing. 200 years ago, you bought your watermelon from the man who grew it. He stood beside his wagon. He had watched those melons grow all summer. If he sold you a bad one, you came back to his farm, you told his wife, and his family's name in the community was the thing he had to live with the following Sunday at church. His reputation depended on your experience being good. He had every reason in the world to want you to know how to find a good one. Today that melon traveled from a commercial farm 1,000 miles away, through a distributor, into a regional warehouse, onto a truck, and into a bin. Nobody in that chain knows your name. Nobody in that chain will see your face when you cut that pale melon open. Nobody loses a single dollar when you bring home a bad one. They already have your $9 the moment you walk through the door. The old knowledge survived as long as the old relationship between farmer and family survived. When that relationship disappeared, the knowledge had nowhere left to live. Nobody was standing beside the bin anymore with a reason to teach it. We are standing beside the bin today. This week, go to a farm stand if there is one near you, or walk to the produce section and run these 7 tests on 3 or 4 melons. Do not just find one. Compare them. Look at the field spots side by side and see how different they actually are. Lift 2 of the same size and feel the weight difference in your arms. Knock on a good candidate and a poor one back to back and let your ear hear what your father was actually listening for. Look for the webbing, let your hands and ears and eyes learn the language. Then take the best one home, chill it properly, cut it open Saturday afternoon in front of your family. The flesh will be deep red, almost the color of a dark rose. The rind inside will be thin, the seeds dark and fully formed, and the first bite will taste the way watermelon is supposed to taste, cold and dense and sweet. The kind of sweetness that fills your whole mouth and makes whoever is sitting across the table from you stop talking mid-sentence and just eat. That is what a properly picked watermelon tastes like. That is what your grandmother's watermelon tasted like. That is what every slightly disappointing melon you have ever brought home was supposed to be and never quite reached. You will not be disappointed again. Tell me in the comments which of the 7 tests was completely new to you today. Was it the webbing, the shape and the bees, the tendril, the give? And if your grandmother or your mother had her own way of choosing a melon, a personal family method passed down to her, share it below. Those small methods are exactly the kind of living knowledge that disappears the moment nobody writes it down. I read every single comment. Next time we are talking about tomatoes, specifically the old Amish way of saving seeds from the best tomatoes of summer, growing new plants from those saved seeds the following spring, staking them so they produce from July through October, and putting up enough jars in August to carry your family through the whole winter. If you want your garden to actually feed your family the way a garden is supposed to feed a family, that is the natural next step from today. Until then, look for the buttery yellow spot, listen for the deep hollow boom, trust the shape the bees made, and follow the sweet marks on the rind. The earth, the vine, and the bees have been writing a message on every good watermelon since the first one grew in a field. They are still writing it today on every melon in every bin in every store in this country. You just learned how to read it.